Namaskar and welcome to Sunset Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about COVID vaccine and specifically COVID vaccine for children. Now, nearly 40% of Indian population is aged below 18 years. After spending more than 18 months at home due to COVID pandemic, most of these children are now headed back to school with strict adherence to COVID protocol. All eyes are now on the availability of COVID vaccine for this segment of the society. India has so far approved a DNA vaccine, ZyCoV-D, which is the first coronavirus vaccine using this vector for children between the ages of 12 to 18 years. An expert committee has also cleared the indigenously developed Bharat Biotech's Covaxin for use in children between the age of 2 to 18 years. However, it is yet to get approval from DCGI. Government is training health workers for the rollout of ZyCoV-D, which is likely to begin soon, with the first priority group being children with comorbidities. While in most other countries, the youngest to get the vaccine are 12-year-olds, United States of America has started to administer Pfizer vaccine to children between 5 and 12-year-old as well. In this episode, we will discuss and analyze all issues and aspects related to COVID vaccine for children. We'll try and understand as to where have we reached and what exactly is the plan from here onwards. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you. Beginning with, we have with us in the studio Professor N.K. Ganguly. He is former Director General of ICMR. We're also joined by Dr. Shobhana Gupta, the CMO of Department of Pediatrics in Safdarjung Hospital, and Dr. Rakesh Garg is also joining us. He's a member of the COVID-19 task force at AIIMS, Delhi. Welcome, all of you. And let me begin with you, Dr. Ganguly. Let's first start by understanding the scope here. Obviously, all of us have seen how COVID-19 affects us, how COVID-19 affects children as well. Now that we are, returning to normalcy, one step at a time, and the children are also headed towards school, the big question is about the vaccine for children vis-a-vis the COVID vaccine.
If we see, Vishalji, that how the respiratory viruses behave in children, the most respiratory viruses infect very small children, and the mortality is very high because of that in those children, and the adult population. So, and particularly the elderly population. So, most of the vaccines are given to these two populations, respiratory infection vaccines. The problem with the new viruses is this, that first it affects the adult population, elderly and adult population, and later on it moves to younger children. Here the situation in India is slightly different because the antibody levels in younger children is very high with the recent Sero survey. So the response is modified. It is not that as was seen in Europe and United States. There, the unvaccinated states, ICUs of children were full. And the death rate was also very high in those children. And they were getting all kinds of symptoms which the adult people were getting little more severe there.
Okay.
And if you are pregnant woman, the chances of death because of the infection, both for fetus and the mother, was very high. So in the vaccination, there were two things which were working. Firstly, to protect these children now. The secondly, that they are able to infect others around them. Even if they don't show symptoms, they will infect their teachers, their grandparents, their parents, so everyone around them will be vulnerable. So it was important that we find a vaccine to give them. So as you have rightly said, that Pfizer vaccine got the approval, Moderna is awaiting approval, and they have started moving to young children, very young children, but 5 and above.
Okay.
Because 2 to 5 is very challenging. In India, the death rate, normal mortality rate in some of the states, particularly in northern states, is very high.
Okay.
So the children will die. So some by other causes. So some children may die after vaccination.
Okay.
So there will be a lot of hue and cry. So you have to be very careful. Secondly, the vaccine which has been used, approved in children in United States and other places is half the dose. It is not the full dose, and the vials are different, so that you don't commit a mistake by putting an adult vaccine back to children.
Okay.
So these will be some of the challenges.
Okay, we'll come to Zykov-D as well and that age criteria which you spoke about. But let's also bring in Dr. Shobhana here. Dr. Shobhana, from your perspective and from your experience over the past year and a half, the way COVID pandemic has unfolded, how have you viewed, this pandemic vis-a-vis children? And because it's becoming really crucial now that, the children will also venture out. Of course, they've been going on vacations with their parents. They've been, playing outside in the park as well. But now the most important part of their life, that is going to school, is also coming back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. You rightly said, in the last 18 months of the COVID pandemic, we have, learned a lot. As Dr. Gongli rightly said, that out of the total population affected, the children, the severe disease in the children is seen in only less than 5% of the children. More than 90% of the children actually presented with a mild upper respiratory tract infection, like mild cough, coryza, fever, or mild abdominal symptoms in the form of loose stools or vomiting, and fever which subsided gradually over 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
And most of the children, they recovered well at home with the simple measures like Crocin, the paracetamol for the fever, maintaining hydration, and monitoring of the symptoms. Only less than 5% of the cases actually worldwide require hospitalization, and even the death rate in children mortality is less than 1% reported so far in the literature.
Okay.
Yes, there were complications in some of the children. Another complication was seen, which is MIS-C, which was seen 4 to 6 weeks after recovery, which has in fact caused more complications and death as compared to the COVID illness per se.
Okay.
So
okay.
that way, and we have become wiser after so many months, and now they are treated aggressively the moment it is suspected with a history of infection.
Okay.
And as I said, yes, the children who are coming to our OPD or even the hospitals, they are now presenting with fever. See, the children presented main symptom, cardinal symptom is the fever in children.
Indeed.
So now fever in children can present in many other illness, ongoing illness, supposedly like dengue is going on, and even the typhoid fever. So the symptoms, they very much overlap. Unlike adults where the symptoms are mainly respiratory, but children can have widespread of symptoms involving any organ system.
Okay, indeed,
So
this is really important for all of us to understand the difference as well. And this recap of those figures which you mentioned, Dr. Shobhana, does make us understand the gravity of the situation, the seriousness vis-a-vis the way we have fought this pandemic as well. Dr. Rakesh, your views there in terms of the importance of putting a vaccination program, a COVID vaccination program in place for children, as we are trying to do, as India is trying to do, as other nations have also put in place from the age 12, and obviously we'll talk about the age factor later on in the show as well, below age 12 as well.
I agree. I think the vaccination has to be universal, because when we talk about the herd immunity and when we see the recent zero surveillance data which is coming up, we have to provide some immunity to all the, initially we talked about the elderly population, but now with the opening of schools and colleges and academic institutes and people are going out, even the youngsters has to be vaccinated. Now, only issue is when we talk about those vaccination programs, the vaccines available, they are undergoing trial, and the recent one is for 12 plus 12 to 18 years, and then subsequently other the vaccine which are coming up under trial for various age duration. So this will depend upon the study these are coming up. But yes, as the mobility is happening, as the things are being opened up, people are moving up, we have to create an immunity to these things.
Okay.
As Madam was saying, obviously the severity of infection is less, and once they get infection, the immunity that is developed because of the natural infection will persist for some time.
Okay.
But then again, we have to supplement it with some vaccination program to them, so that their herd immunity is maintained and we are not losing the productive time of our kids, our children, because once they're infected, the family will be quarantined, and then those vicious cycle will start.
Okay.
So prevent those situations, because when they will be going to school, again, we need to identify the index case, and those kids who have come into that kid again, they will be quarantined or they will be asked to keep remain at home.
Okay.
So this situation will create an panicky situation among school kids, among
Okay.
decision, when we are opening up, we need to provide an environment where they can be comfortable with, and
Okay.
that can be achieved with vaccination. But simultaneously, we need to have some data which the agencies are doing it. So as and when which age group data is available, they can be expanded on,
Okay.
and then other kids can be given vaccination.
Okay, that brings me to Dr. Ganguly again. Dr. Ganguly, since Dr. Rakesh mentioned about the data as well, and all of us know the importance of, the vaccine here in this battle against COVID pandemic. Two small questions I have to you, an important one as well. One, tell us more about ZyCoV-D, because this is the first, DNA vaccine. The vector being used is DNA, which is being done for the first time, and that's the same vaccine which will be, available for children about the age of 12, that is between the age group of 12 to 18. Also, what does the data say which is available to us right now in terms of its efficacy, its efficiency?
The DNA platform became very, very attractive as a vaccine development because it withstands temperature. It doesn't, like messenger RNA, it is unlike that, it is temperature resistant. You don't have to give prick, it is given through a gun and easy to administer. But there were a lot of challenges in DNA vaccines. One was introduction of autoimmune responses. Autoimmune responses are very, very important for, as Bhavna said, they are important in the COVID infections. It happens afterwards where the body is attacked by its own cells. And the second one was that how long the immune response will last. There are very few experiences in the human data and human population. So we will have to tread carefully. So luckily this is being given to 15 and above. So there's a good idea. So, but the data we should get robust data in a very transparent way and wait. But it will not be the major vaccine which is introduced. Okay. Major vaccine might be the Covaxin, which ultimately the expert group has to clear. Now it has been cleared by WHO. It might be, but the challenge here will be less than 2 years, 2 years and above. So this particular age group is very, very vulnerable. Like if there is a fever, high fever, children suffer from convulsion because their temperature regulation is poor. And there are they suffer more from allergic reaction. Some of the children suffer from more allergic reaction. And now we know for the Pfizer vaccine and others, very small number of them, 1 in 10,000, gets little myocarditis, viral myocarditis. So we have to really weigh very nicely and go in a small fashion and gather data and see how it goes. Okay. We have to also see that whether the dosages are right or not, because the children don't get the same dosages as adult. And in our cases, sometimes vaccine introduction mistakes has happened. So the vialing has to be totally different than the adult vaccine so that people don't administer adult vaccine to children inadvertently. Finally, as Bhavna has said, that we have to improve our diagnostics very well. Like there's Zika infection again. So flavivirus infections, all flavivirus infections or the Aedes-borne infections, they all are coming at the same time.
At the same time.
So there will be Japanese bee, Zika is already there. And Zika has come to...
And they have overlapping symptoms.
So they will be overlapping. And the scrub typhus. Scrub typhus is also very strong fever-inducing apart from typhoid and paratyphoid. Okay. So all of these will need very strong diagnostic support to the children so that when we really develop data and create data, we are robust about the data. Okay. One point also I will like to say that in India, the children's symptoms are little bit muted and masked. It is not so in United States and Europe. There, there the all ICUs were full. And ICU, you take children only when they have a serious infection.
Okay.
So in India, we are lucky in a sense that because of perhaps the herd immunity which has happened in India, our profile in children infection is a better profile.
Comparatively to the European countries in there as well.
Others.
Okay, wonderful. Dr. Shobhana, your views there on this very key important aspects, and also do you agree with what Dr. Ganguly is saying, that we will have to tread carefully, part one, two, we will have to keep our eyes open in terms of the way we continue with the vaccination program, but also vis-a-vis these two vaccines from a pediatrician's perspective, what is it that the parents should expect when they go in for either Zycov-D, which has been approved, or Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, which is likely to get an approval from DCGI soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Dr. Ganguly, sir. What he's saying, that with children, definitely vaccination is the answer, since now schools have opened up. So they do need vaccination, but yes, in a graded manner. So I think what is the plan also of the government is to start initially for above 12 years, and then only gradually they will be shifting to, as the approval will come, to the lower age group. So definitely the adverse drug reaction committees are already existing, and there will be, even for adults, they were much more vigilant much more vigilant, and all the arrangements were made to tackle with any adverse effects in all of the major hospitals where vaccination centers were there. So I'm sure for children, we would be much more careful. And definitely the parents would be, I think in Indian population, what I can perceive with the parents, they all are eagerly waiting for the vaccination. Parents keep on asking when the vaccination is coming. And in fact, many of the parents are not sending to schools, that until we get one dose vaccinated, we won't send if the option is there.
Okay.
So I think that acceptability should not be a problem, but yes, they should be well explained about the possible risk factors, and to take the immediate medical help. If possible, any symptoms, they need to be explained. They should take that medical aid as soon as possible.
Okay.
But I'm hopeful, we are hopeful as a medical experts, that Covaxin is well versed seen in adults. So so we are hoping that once we get the approval, as I said, that should be the widely used vaccine. About the Cadila, although the trials have been done and it has got the approval, but yes, we need to see. And to start with, what the plan was discussed, that nothing has come out officially. So let's see what the plan of the government is at. But there are speculations that there would be a gradation age-wise. Secondly, they might initially start with a higher risk group, like they started in adults with the older age group and the adults with the morbidity.
Those with comorbidities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
similar approach may be adopted for the children also, so that, because as you said, 40% of the population is below 18 years. So it's not a small number.
Indeed.
So where we have reached now, 40% is a big number.
Indeed.
So it has to be started.
That indeed is a big chunk, and a very important chunk of our society as well. Dr. Rakesh, we've learned a lot during the past 1.5 years, and specifically, if you look at the vaccination program, then in the past 8 to 9 months, the way we have run, world's largest COVID vaccination program, there's been a lot of learnings. So those obviously will come handy, but when we are talking about vaccination for children, COVID vaccination for children, what are the key elements which should be kept in mind from your perspective?
I think in India, the vaccination program among children is going very successfully. And if you think the infrastructure that is available, if you go from higher centers even to the peripheral like ASHA workers, so there is a well-planned strategy which is already existing. So I don't find there is any reason that will be an obstacle for good coverage of the vaccination program. And there should not be an issue, because at many centers, even the primary healthcare centers or clinics, there is a availability of safe practices of vaccination among children. So
Okay.
it should not be a big issue. The availability of vaccine, I think, as we had the experience with adult vaccine, it will be in the staggered phase. And the good point is, with experience of now crossing it such a large figure now, we are very sure about monitoring all those aspects. I remember when the vaccination program was released in India, initially there were some issues and the people were not coming to the vaccination centers. but very soon they will taken care of because there is good monitoring system, there is good working profile, and the arrangements are so robust that everything is taken care of. So same thing will happen in kids also, in children vaccination program also.
Okay.
And in children, the advantage is that we already have infrastructure of child vaccination. We are already running a good vaccination program.
Indeed.
So the system is already in situ. So I don't think there should be any issues. But yes, definitely, as a word of caution, as Dr. Gupta was also mentioning, Dr. Ganguly is also mentioning, a staggered approach will always be a good option so that monitoring also remains robust. In case if something happens, which though it's not expected, with so much of experience across the globe now, I think none of the vaccine till date, whatever is in India and outside India, all vaccines were passed through a proper phase of development and testing.
Indeed.
And same is for the children vaccination also. So if we have already tested in the adults and the phase and development phase and the testing phase is in the similar fashion, so we don't expect there should be any issues, concerns among the parents and family members also. It would go very smoothly. We should just accept it and let it go in the interest of community.
Okay. Dr. Ganguly, quick concluding comments from you. One, as Dr. Rakesh is pointing out, that there is a robust infrastructure with vaccination for children in our country. And we have had a lot of learnings, during the COVID vaccination campaign as well, the way we have to deal with the vaccines, the way, this entire campaign has to run. But again, towards the end, to assuage the concerns specifically of the parents of this segment of the society, that is, those aged between 2 and 18, the target group now, what would you tell them?
Actually, what I will tell them that in India regulatory system and now AFI, when I was introducing vaccines from the government, the AFI system was not that good. And any time a child died, and there were cases in the High Court, Supreme Court by vaccinators, and they stopped it. So that is no longer prevalent in India. In West and United States, that hesitancy is there. We do not have that hesitancy. But we should have a very robust communication and advocacy and transparent system where we should make parents understand, and the AFI system should be robust. The final thing which I will like to say, that at the moment it is in campaign mode. It has to enter the primary immunization system. So we should, while we are strengthening this primary immunization system, we should see that for a sustainability, it should enter the primary immunization system as soon as we have vaccinated the population and we take the next steps towards that. So these two will be main things, but I will send a message that in India, the way the vaccination is now introduced, all precautions are taken to make people safe as far as possible.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Dr. Ganguly, Dr. Rakesh, as well as Dr. Shobna, for sharing your views with us and our viewers. As our experts pointed out, it is quite clear that a lot of work has been done with the COVID vaccination in India. We've been running the world's largest COVID vaccination program as well. And a lot of research has gone into, developing a vaccine for children. ZyCoV-D, which has got the approval, and Covaxin, which is pending approval from DCGI. Now we'll have to wait and watch for the guidelines from the government. But the key focus area here is that vaccination is a very important tool in our hand to battle this particular pandemic, and the vaccine hesitancy should be done away with by communicating with people, telling them that yes, obviously it is safe and we should all go for it. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.